Morgan and Alex had been married for a few years. Their story began like many modern romances do, unexpectedly and without much fanfare. One night, Morgan was out celebrating a close friend's birthday at a lively local bar. Laughter, music, and clinking glasses filled the room. Alex, meanwhile, had shown up with a few of his buddies just looking to unwind. As fate would have it, their groups ended up mingling. While nothing significant sparked between the other friends, Alex and Morgan clicked almost instantly. There was an easy chemistry between them. She was witty and radiant. He was laid back and charming. What started as a casual night of friendly banter turned into something more. After that night they began dating. A year later they were married. They weren't rushing to start a family. Their plan was to settle into married life first, build careers, maybe travel a bit. But the latter proved tricky. They were still paying off the loan they'd taken out for their lavish wedding, a wedding Morgan had dreamed of since she was a teenager. The dress, the venue, the flowers, the works. It had been beautiful but expensive. One summer they received exciting news. Kayla, one of Morgan's old high school friends, was getting married. The wedding was scheduled for early August, and Morgan was thrilled. It had been years since they'd attended a big celebration, and both she and Alex were looking forward to it. They rarely got to go out together, thanks to work and life always getting in the way. Unfortunately, it happened again. A week before the big day, Alex's job informed him that he'd need to travel out of town for a work assignment, right over the wedding weekend. It wasn't negotiable. Though disappointed, he urged Morgan to still go and enjoy herself. "Just be sure to tell the bride I said congratulations," he said, giving her a hug before heading out. They agreed to call each other in the evenings, just to stay connected. But on the night of the wedding, Morgan didn't answer. Not once. She claimed later that the party had gone late into the night, and by the time she got home, she was exhausted and just crashed. When Alex returned from his trip, something felt off. Morgan seemed different. She'd started going out with her girlfriends more often, saying she was working late, or simply coming home in an unusually good mood. Alex couldn't quite put his finger on it, but he felt a growing distance. A month after the wedding, that unease deepened. One morning, Morgan said she wasn't feeling well and was going to skip work. She called her boss and told him she'd be out sick. Alex, concerned, told her to rest and to let him know if she needed anything. Later that day, during his lunch break, Alex decided to surprise her with some fruit and tea. But when he opened the door to their apartment, it was empty. Morgan was gone. His mind raced. Maybe she had to go to urgent care, he thought, panic rising. He immediately called her. She picked up after a few rings, sounding far too cheerful for someone who'd called in sick. She casually explained that she had stepped out to grab a few things from a grocery store, one that was oddly far from their neighborhood. Alex offered to wait for her so they could have lunch together, but she brushed it off, saying she'd be out a while longer. Driving back to work, Alex couldn't shake a strange feeling. There was a perfectly good store around the corner. Why go across town? And if she was too ill to work, why not just use a delivery app? The inconsistencies kept echoing in his head. That evening, Morgan greeted him as if nothing had happened. She was in the kitchen preparing dinner, her hair freshly brushed, smelling faintly of perfume. Alex walked up behind her and wrapped his arms around her waist, but that scent hit him like a warning sign. "You went to the store like that?" he asked casually, trying to hide the suspicion in his voice. Morgan didn't miss a beat. "Yeah, I started feeling better, so I figured I'd get some fresh air. Just the store and back." She smiled, but something in her tone was too rehearsed. Alex knew her well enough to know. She didn't wear perfume for grocery runs. She only spritzed herself when they went out together. Date nights, holidays, weddings. Never for errands. And certainly not when she'd told her boss she was bedridden. His gut told him something wasn't right. And it turned out his gut was right. A few days later, Morgan came home fuming. She slammed her bag on the counter and ranted about how she and Kayla had gotten into a massive fight, the kind that ends friendships. After 10 years of closeness, they were no longer speaking. Alex, drained from his own day at work, only caught bits and pieces of her tirade. Morgan was livid, blaming Kayla for crossing a line. That night, after dinner, she cooled off and the rest of the evening passed without incident. Then, out of nowhere, Kayla called Alex. He blinked at her name lighting up on his phone. Maybe she meant to call Morgan. But no, Kayla's voice was quiet, tense. "I meant to call you, Alex," she said. "You need to hear this." What she told him next changed everything. "You remember how you couldn't come to the wedding?" Kayla asked. "Well, your wife didn't really seem to miss you that night." According to Kayla, Morgan had reconnected at the wedding with her high school ex-boyfriend, James. They had dated in senior year before James moved away. Apparently, Morgan had never quite gotten over him. Now James was back in town. They bumped into each other at the reception, started talking, and before long, things escalated. Kayla claimed they were caught sneaking into the bathroom together. And they weren't just chatting. "Some people saw them, Alex." "I saw them," Kayla said, her voice brimming with anger. "It wasn't just old feelings. They were all over each other. And honestly, I think they're still seeing each other." Alex was stunned. Maybe Kayla was lying, driven by spite after her fallout with Morgan. Or maybe she was telling the absolute truth. "Do you have proof?" he asked, suddenly breathless. There was a pause. "I'll find something," she said before hanging up. Half an hour later, Alex's phone buzzed. First came a photo. Morgan in a corner of the banquet hall, arms wrapped tightly around a man who clearly wasn't her husband. Then a short video followed. Morgan stepping back into the reception from the hallway, dress slightly rumpled, adjusting it as if she'd just been compromised. That same night, Alex packed her things and placed them outside the door. When Morgan came home and saw her belongings, she acted confused, as if she had no idea why he was upset. But once he mentioned Kayla had told him everything, her tone changed. She lashed out, calling Kayla a liar, a jealous drama queen trying to sabotage her marriage. But Alex had seen enough. He told her it was over. No more lies. No more excuses. A few weeks later, he filed for divorce. In the end, it wasn't just Kayla's revenge. It was Morgan's betrayal that broke the marriage. A bitter fight between old friends had revealed a secret that would have otherwise stayed hidden. Ironically, the same wedding Morgan had eagerly attended without her husband was the beginning of the end for them. Looking back, Alex sometimes found it grimly funny. Two women fall out, and one's buried secret gets dragged into the light. He'd been blindsided but not broken. And with time, he came to see the truth. He was better off without someone who could be swayed so easily, someone who would risk everything for a fleeting old flame. He never went back to meeting women in bars. Not because he didn't believe in love, but because he'd learned the hard way that where you meet someone can sometimes hint at how you'll lose them too.